Brando, welcome back to the show.
Dude, I'm excited. Jeff from 360 Electric.
Yes. Talk about some energy.
Oh, the dude's
Some
intense.
spice for life.
Intense.
What's so cool about what we do, Brandon, and audience, I hope that you're enjoying this too. We get to talk to these incredible business owners that have these unbelievable ups and downs and journeys. And I learn so much from him, mostly that I need some more cappuccino.
Man, the guy's intense. But no, audience, those of you listening, thanks again for tuning in to another episode. Before we get into this episode with Jeff, do us a quick favor. Hit like, subscribe, follow, share, wherever you are. Do that real quick. Awesome. All right. And with that, here's Jeff, the 360 electrician.
I thought you shorted out. It was like, Brandon's having a heart attack. All right, this is a wild story. I'm wearing a backwards hat, and you say, "Hey, how do you know about the Missoula podcast?" And I looked at you with like a blank stare, and I'm like, "I am the Missoula podcast," and that's how our relationship started. So, how did you find the Missoula podcast, number one, and tell us your that experience?
You know what, man? I'm telling you, my whole life is like walking on water. It's crazy. God opens doors. Just crazy things happen to me. And yeah, we were here because this place is going to get remodeled, and we came to give an estimate, and we talked just briefly, fist bump, because you guys know one of my guys. And then you walk around the corner, and I'm like 20 feet away, and I see the logo, and I swear it wasn't even like maybe a week or two before that where I saw you guys on LinkedIn. And I'm one of those creators, or we'll get into what I do, but I'm on LinkedIn because that's where the money's at, right? That's where the big boys play. And somehow you guys popped up, and I saw the logo, and I was cool. And then at first, you look at it and you go, "Oh, Missoula Mountains, it's freaking awesome," right? And I'm a marketing guy, and I go, "Hey, dude, Steven, how do you know the Missoula podcast?" I think you were actually blown away. Like, you recognize the logo? And I'm like,
I think you were the
heck
first
yeah,
person.
I think it's an awesome logo. And he goes, "We are the Missoula podcast." I'm like, no freaking way. And I was like, seriously, I think I was like, that's what happens to me all the time. It's like, all right, God, like another one. Like, what the heck? And then I had to meet Brandon. Everything went downhill from there.
And here we are.
And here we are now. I'm just kidding. And yeah, again, Joseph, who works for me, is just, obviously ratting and raving about you guys and how long you guys known him. And that's it, man. And the door opened, and here I am. I wanted to be episode 1. I'll be honest. I'm a little, but hey, what are we? Episode?
I don't know where we are.
26,
31, 2.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But hey, look, I got the first of 2024. That's something, right? I love it. I love it. And of course, anyway, but it's that's such a small world that we have this connection that we never knew about. I think that's the crazy part about Missoula. Me coming from the outside, I've only been in the Bitterroot 2.5 years. Someone works for me that's connected to you. 2 of your guests, one of your guests, Casey's in my HOA. Just like 2 weeks before he was on the show, we were in an HOA meeting, and then I'm like, what? And then Troy, of course, my boy Troy does all my printing, and we have a relationship. Our kids are
awesome.
Our kids go to the same school in the same class. It's just nuts. That's Missoula in a
community.
nutshell. It really is.
It's incredible. What brought you to Missoula? Well, here, loaded question. Where are you from originally? Where'd you come from?
Can I cuss on the channel and say California?
I knew exactly what you were going to say. That's why I asked.
Are we allowed to say bad words?
What brought you to Missoula area?
Yeah, why Missoula?
Yeah. So the short story is our daughter's in private school over there in California, and her 2 best friends. One of them, the parents had a house here for 20-something years, and they decided through all the craziness, we're going to move, and we have a house in Missoula. And so they moved here and broke my daughter's heart, broke our heart, great friends. And so, of course, I love Montana. I'm hunting, fishing. That's what I'm all about. Living in California, you kind of got to be reserved. You don't take your guns and bows and arrows and nothing out. You're going to get in trouble. But anyway, so we said, oh, heck yeah, we're visiting. And so everyone said, like, why Montana? And I said, let's go during the winter, because, right, that's what scares everybody. And I told my wife, I said, we're going to go visit them, and we're going to visit when they say the worst time to visit is. We literally came here, and I was like packing in my head. And this is like 3.5, 4 years ago. And so what brought us to Missoula is great friends, my daughter's best friend. We wanted to get out of Cali. We had our dream house, everything set up. I still have my company there, booming. And COVID taught me how to run my business without being there anymore. Technology. Technology. Hey, why am I going to go to a job site to do a job walk? Get your phone out and show me. Wait. Go back around that corner. Like, you can't get away with anything anymore. So I'm an early adopter on technology. I always have been. I've had several businesses before. Some of them were in tech or tech-like. And so, yeah, best friends moved out here. Daughter's best friend moved out. Then her other friend moved out and bought a house in our community. Same with Casey's. 2 doors up, there was a property for sale. Oh, not 2 doors, like 5 doors up, a lot for sale. And I wanted this other lot. And I was like, Lord, if this lot was for sale, kept asking my agent and everybody, and they go, that's not how it works in Montana. You're like, if it's got a for sale sign, it's got a for sale sign. It's not like you can find one. My wife told me that day, and I remember a year before, I said, I'm packing in my mind. And she's like, all right, I'll make you a deal. Of course, this is half poking me, but half serious. If you buy me a house with a pool on the property, like if you buy me a house with a pool, I'll move to Montana. Look, we're SoCal, we're loving it, right? And so she goes, oh, you're challenging me. I said, okay, done. I'll build that dang pool. Didn't have to. I did this prayer walk up to that other property that was for sale. That property was not very nice. I walked by this property and I kept saying, like, wow, this is the one to get here. Out of the corner of my eye, there's like this little blue plastic thing in the middle of the tall Montana grass. So I go, what is that? And so I just start walking to it, and about 20 yards in, I step on a for sale by owner sign that's been knocked down. Sharpie, phone number, last number completely gone. Second to the last number, an 86. Who knew? And I was like, no way. So I take a picture of it and I go, what? Look, I'm getting chills right now because that's how God works, right? And so then I start making another 10 yards. Guess what's on the freaking property, guys? A Walmart kiddie pool. I still have the picture of Google Map, Google Sky View zoomed in. How long we've been married? You guys married?
Yeah.
Wife says, go get milk. I'm coming with the fattest, tastiest, unhealthiest milk on earth. You got to tell me oat milk with almonds, with low fat, with this brand or what, right? Or I'm coming back with a pool on the property. And before we landed, we'd sold, made the deal. The property was ours. And so then it took another 3 to 6 months to make the decision to pull the trigger, sell our dream house in California that we were set. Like, it was ideal situation. It was like, Abraham, leave, Of course, I'm not that special, but that's kind of the story. And so, yeah, we pulled the trigger and we started building, and that was a nightmare in the Bitterroot, and hence 360 Electric Montana, but that's a whole other story.
So amazing that you were able to adopt this technology, be able to run your business from California, and sounds like so many doors open to come to Montana. Take us back a little bit further. How did the start of your businesses come about?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know you wanted to be an electrician, a business owner, a contractor, or did you kind of fall into it and be like, well, I guess I'm just going to go for it?
Yeah. Pretty crazy story as well. So my dad is the godfather of tire stores and tires in Southern California. He immigrated here from Syria in 1952, got his degree in engineering from Michigan State, ended up, whatever the case may be, ended up in California. And he said, and he was working for Lockheed Martin, Skunk Works, all that, total stuff. In fact, right out of just a quick story, just to tell you, like, Armenian. So I'm Armenian, background's Armenian. Crazy story about Armenians, first nation to accept Christianity in the Muslim world and stuff. Mm-hmm. He moves out here, works for Lockheed Martin, always gets fired, right? Because they're doing the layoffs every time the space thing. He goes, and they have this program where you invested money. So my dad was a great businessman. That's kind of where I got it. And you'd invest this money. And if they laid you off, you would get double what you invested, almost like a 401k, but they would double it if you got laid off. So he said, if they laid me off one more time, I'm starting a business for myself. And so that's what he did. So he got in the tire business. He grew it out of my direct family. Gosh, over 200, 250 tire stores. You're talking Les Schwab level. We're competing. Mostly West Coast, San Diego, Orange County, Seattle. I lived in Seattle for months. Anyway, put a long story short. So I'm thinking, right, I'm a young kid. I'm going to get into the tire business. That's my goal. Dad pretty much, God bless him, had a great relationship, never bought me a pair of tennis shoes my whole life. My parents got divorced at 5 years old. It was that whole, child support battle thing. Dad's living large, driving BMWs and Mercedes, leaves mom with just the furniture in our kids, the kids' room. So really I had to hustle from like day one, even though he was a part of my life growing up. Like, he'd pick up something. It was that thing between him and my mom. I didn't understand it. So my first business, believe it or not, my mom, I was a latchkey kid, had to go, home, and which is great. Again, we're boys. Okay. Mm-hmm. So to me, it wasn't like a bad thing. I get to go home and play my Atari 2600 or whatever it was. So I met a friend, Akbar Malikuti, an Iranian kid. Same thing. Dad, multimillionaire, didn't give him a pencil. Wild. Yeah, crazy. And so he lived on the golf course in like the neighborhood I grew up in. And so his cousin that lived with him said, "Hey, you guys want to make some extra money?" Because he had grown up, he's in high school now. He goes, "Just jump the fence, grab all the golf balls in the bushes, because over there the weeds grow." And he goes, "You clean them up, you go down to where the entrance is, and you sell golf balls, you make a bunch of money." And so I go, "Oh, heck yeah." So we jump the fence, we find all these balls. Back then the Coke, the Coke cardboard containers are only like 3 inches tall. They have all the rivets we'd put all the balls in there, and then we'd go out. And then first day, you're talking 1978. First day we'd make like $8, and that's like $50, for a kid, 8-year-old kid, $50. We'd freak out, right? And we'd go to the store, come back. Anyway, long story short, that is where my sales, supply and demand, price points, competition, everything God had worked way back then. Why? The next week we went out and we went, "Gosh, we're getting all these balls. We don't know anything about golf. We don't know anything about anything." I still don't know. I may get Troy back in here. He'll tell us all about it. And I'd be like, "Hey, this week, let's write all the balls that we have going down here." And so we'd write like Top Flight XL. We realized Top Flight XL, because that's the only ball I still know, was selling the #1 seller. And we went, "Hey, next week, let's make these 10 cents more." And we found, supply and demand.
Dang.
And yeah, it was
You guys
crazy.
figured that out when you're
At
that
8
young.
years old. And then like we went from like $8 to like $20 in a day. And that was it. That was like every summer for like 3 years. And then it wasn't cool or whatever happened.
Sure.
So that's my first business, is selling golf balls and riding my bike. Back then you could do that in LA to like 20 miles away to the toy store.
Yeah.
And then mom would come, put the bikes in the trunk, and come home.
So your mom was a single mom, and she was working at this time. What was she doing to support you guys?
So she was a manager for a fragrance company called Guerlain, French company in Beverly Hills, in a boutique in one of the big, like Macy's type stores.
Sure.
that went, I Magnum. That's what it was.
Okay.
So she was, again, great salesman. My mom, actually, my mom's a better businessman than my dad ever was. She is just unbelievable. Just joking aside, when my dad passed, my mom, if she passes, is going to have more net worth than my dad did. And yeah, all this crazy stuff. And she's really just an amazing woman. And I learned a lot from her and my dad. So anyway, fast forward, I just, since that point on, I think I own businesses. I've only worked for 2 people my whole life. Target for a week, and then I got kicked out. Well, I did work for my dad for a little while, but I don't count that because family sometimes. And then I worked for the largest electrical service contractor in California. So what happened was my mom said, "Can you fall back on your dad's business? Like, do you trust him?" And I'm like, "He's never bought me a pair of tennis shoes. I don't know if I can." She goes, "Well, we have a family friend who's an electrician. Why don't you just go, you go to trade school and learn a trade. You're not going to be a doctor or lawyer." I said, "No." And she goes, "Just learn a trade for backup." And sure enough, after I sold my internet company, which we didn't even get to, I had the second largest tire seller on the internet in the 2000s. Sold that, didn't work for about 3-4 months, went to Bible college for 2 years for my own growth. Met my wife. My father-in-law's Armenian too. Said, "You don't have a job, you're not getting married." I'm 30 years old at this time. I'm like, who needs a job? Job, come on. And so I went to work for that. Again, fallback. I went to college, got my degree, didn't do it. Forgot to tell you, I was the largest pager seller in Las Vegas too in the 90s before I started the internet business. So I've been in business my whole life. That's what I do. I always say time is worth more than money to me. So I've always valued my time more than I valued money. And you might say, "Well, Jeff, wow, so successful. How many zeros you got in the bank account?" Not that many, because I'm not a Ferrari guy. I'm not I have a decent house, obviously, but that's building, your equity and being smart. But I will definitely choose an hour of time versus a $100 bill any day of the week.
Sure. And
Yeah.
you learned that obviously watching your dad, watching your mom, and then just your own experience.
Yeah. And again, I got I kind of walk on water kind of thing. A lot of guys, people have to build up that 401k and all that stuff. Look, again, I'm not knocking it. I had family that was decently well off, and I figured always that, even if I end up with something, that's my 401k. But it turned out that just working hard, I didn't need it anymore.
Yeah.
Like when my dad passed, it was like, I don't need it all. So, he left everything for the grandkids because we didn't need it. I'm already a successful businessman. I've already got my house. I've already got, like, adding zeros wasn't going to do anything. And so the great part was just having that relationship.
What was your strategy for picking businesses? Were you just like looking for, I'm going to fill that need, I'm going to fill that need, or you just kind of like fall into them? Because you're saying pagers, tire sales, electricity.
The pagers was because we were young. And look, again, we had to hustle. I mean, I've done some pretty shady stuff in my life too. I always say that anything that's shady or illegal started in California in the 90s while I was in high school. I'm talking like from chipping phones to fraud, all kinds of stuff. Thank God statues are way over because I can talk about it. So we were hustlers, like totally. Like we created some. So all my best friends, like in my group, there was no two alike: Israeli, English, Chinese, African American, me, Armenian, and Italian. That was like our group, and we were like brothers. So everybody brought some kind of shadiness into the group, and we're still best friends now.
Oh, that's amazing.
And super successful.
Motley crew.
One of my friends sold his clothing company for $12 million. One of my friends is a huge talent manager right now for A-listers. I mean, I've got, we all just hustled and just, so yeah, picking businesses. When I moved to Vegas, I actually moved to Vegas because I figured if I stayed in California, I'd end up in jail for sure. I said, you know what, they're going to get me eventually. And I said, I cut it cold turkey. I wasn't a believer at the time either. I was just in the world, whatever. My uncle had bought a shopping center in Las Vegas. He was an early smart guy too, and he's still there. He gave me literally the room we're in, half the size of an office, and he shared it with me. And I started my Pagers, etc. business there. And it was big back then. No cell phones really then.
Yeah.
So I go, how am I going to compete against J&J and EasyCom? These were the two Israeli guys that were just huge in Vegas. Great. I'm going to be different. I'm going to use my skills, which is sales, talking, loving on my client. I took a suitcase, filled it with pagers, and knocked on doors and businesses and said, I'm from Pagers, etc. Well, the first thing people would say is like, wow, must be a big company. They got a sales guy walking around. No, this is the company in this suitcase. But I made myself bigger. I mean, again, you guys are looking at, some of our, like, marketing is my thing. I don't want to get the market, but I want to make that impact. And so, yeah, and then I hooked up with a couple of right people.
Jeff, do you still use a pager? Do you still have a pager?
I still have my Flex two-way pager, but I can't use it anymore because if it could hook up, I probably would.
How cool would it be to bring pagers back?
I know. I don't know. I mean, our phones are it, but yeah.
Kind of cool.
Yeah, it is cool. But it's hard to beat that Z5 I got. That thing's pretty damn cool.
Okay, so now we got a little bit of a backstory on some of your history in business.
Yeah.
Since we are the Missoula podcast, let's transition into Missoula. But right now, I think it'd be a good time for our burning 5 questions. Hit them with the first one.
All right.
You ready?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're from Cali.
Yes.
You come to Missoula, Montana.
Mm-hmm.
Did you drive? Did you fly here? What happened the first trip?
The very first time I visited, flew.
Okay, flew. You get off that airplane.
Mm-hmm.
You get in your rental car. You're heading down Broadway. What is your first initial memory of Missoula, Montana?
Getting off at Missoula Airport before this remodel and smelling the air and just going, and it was crisp winter. And I was like, whoa, this is awesome. Probably the first thing. And then just kind of mesmerized. I come from desert. I lived in Vegas. I lived in LA my whole life. I did a short span in Seattle, which was all rain. That's it. I'm a desert, California beach, Not your typical. I'm not a surfer or anything like that. So for me, it was just mesmerizing. And being in Missoula during snow to us, it was mesmerizing. So we even joke, I still prefer winter. Can I say that? I think I'll get arrows thrown at me here, but I still enjoy winter just as much as I do summer. Yeah. Now, again, I'm being admitted, I'm not in the snow every day working, which I have but like my guys today, they booked a call. It's, in Corvallis. I'm like, why didn't you book it for Wednesday? At least it's 23. They're like, this is it. Yeah. So I'm still I'll be in front of the fireplace looking out the window and on my laptop. You guys do you. So that's my first memories. The air.
That's a great memory. Have you found your go-to coffee spot in Missoula? Or
100%.
Okay, where's your spot?
Florence Coffee.
All right.
And I happen to live in Florence. How crazy is that? And I also going to reach out to them, hopefully, if they're watching this podcast about something. But I love that family.
He lives in Florence. How did he get on the podcast?
Yeah, that's
we need to go back to.
You infiltrated.
Yeah,
smart. He knew Casey did it first.
It's true.
Yeah.
Okay, Missoula. Oh, you're son.
No,
Missoula
Casey
County.
was way after we met.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I got in the podcast because again that first introduction and meeting and Joseph.
He's good at
sales.
He's good at sales.
Yeah. Well, you have no choice, right?
How about when it comes to food? What's your favorite restaurant in Missoula?
Okay, so that's the crazy part. So the biggest joy I ever get going into California is going to my all-you-can-eat sushi places. I mean, it's hands down, right? And then you got you have diversity of food here, but it's very limited. So believe it or not, Hoo Hot was awesome. I mean, I'm so heartbroken right now. My wife wants to kill me because I took her there. My daughter wants to kill me because they're like, all the food's mixed and everything. I'm like, that's what makes it so good. So I'm a Hoo Hot kind of guy. And I know you guys are going to think I'm nuts. I like the Chinese buffet. That's me. I know it's Some people might say that's not quite, but honestly, Tamarack we were in love with. Obviously, super in love with Lolo Steakhouse, probably our go-to. And then Stevensville Steakhouse. I forget the name of the Stevensville one.
What is that called? I'm trying to think.
I think.
We'll have to call the guys on the Steve I podcast.
Not Steve I. What am I talking about?
Victor.
Victor Steakhouse.
Steakhouse.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's what I thought. You were saying.
And then Amore and Tacos just came in at Steve I though. That's bomb. That's great. Yeah, and then of course, always teppanyaki at whatchamacallit right over there. The one Kobe. Yes, thank you. So these are our go-tos.
Yeah.
So you got a few. Yeah,
definitely.
About half the restaurants.
Yeah.
Right.
It's awesome.
Can you tell I'm Armenian?
So we know you live in Florence, so you're a 59833er.
Yes.
If I know my zip codes.
Yes, very good.
So next question.
Mm-hmm.
What to you is the weirdest thing about Missoula?
A little bit of the attitudes, especially when it comes to contractors.
Really?
I think it's weird that you have a business, especially a home service or a service company business. Literally, your business relies 1,000% on your clients. And I built a house here. I built a fairly large house. I did a lot of stuff on there. And I found that the contractor mentality, I don't know what the right word is just unbelievable. Why do you show up to my house, give me a $20,000 bid to do landscaping and never follow up? Why bother even coming? I found that is the MO. And then I don't blame contractors, but crappy work is prominent, like crappy work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say names, but I've got my gas line installation. Like I'm not a litigation kind of guy, even though California, we're litigated all the time. But I mean, just nobody's watching what they're doing and they can care less. Maybe they feel like because they can get away with it, but the quality and the follow-up, absolutely. I have a friend that came from California. He is a partner in a major accounting firm. I mean, this guy's got money. If you just show up and you are on it, he's writing you a check and he's got a list. And I saw and go, oh, I know some of those contractors. He goes, no, that's my do not call list. I will never call those people again. And I was like, you keep a list? Yeah, I won't remember. Like I'll remember the people I'm going to call, but I want to make sure I remember the people I will never call again. And so I think me being an outsider too, as much as people are resistant to outsiders, you're not stopping it. You're not. It's just why not embrace it and actually make it work for you? Like I'll tell you the story about how Californians drove the prices up, right? Remember that property I was going to buy down the street? I'm not going to say any names because I love the guy. We're friends, but he pretty much homesteaded Bitterroot. Okay, he bought that property, builds a house. He's listed it for like $1.7 million. That's not me. That's a local. Like, why are you blaming me? If it was he could have listed it for whatever, And so I just kind of find it funny that if you can, those people that I was sitting at Glenn's Cafe.
Oh, I love
and
Glenn.
next to me, there's two older guys, and they're like, "Yeah, these son of a outsiders." And then like literally a conversation later was, "Hey, so what happened with your ranch sale?" "Oh, I made a killing. Some guy came in from California and paid me $100,000 over cost." But literally 5 minutes earlier was like those son of a, And I had another experience. Met a contractor who's building a garage from someone that just moved up from San Diego. Got to be a $45,000 job. And then goes, another one from outside. Man, you guys are everywhere, like crawling around everywhere. And I'm like, and it was in front of that customer just saying like, you just got a $45,000 job from the guy that's crawling. So you see, that's what irks me.
It's inconsistent.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Come on.
We like to play both sides.
And look, I bleed Montana. Like we didn't talk about how we got here through the governor's office. I mean, the door was open. I mean, there was a lot of negotiating for me to bring my headquarters. I was coming anyway. Don't tell them that, but I was coming. But it's true. I'm not here to change it. I want to make it better, whichever way I can. But who wants to change Montana? Like we left, all us imports left hell to come to what we call heaven, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that mentality is like, you're going to know the good from the bad.
Well, Jeff, what do you love the most about Missoula?
The people, same exact thing that I hate. That was the contractor part, not the people. The people, just amazing. Anybody that visits now, I go, especially from California or anywhere else, I go, okay. He goes, well, get ready. There's a sound you're never going to hear. There's actually two sounds you will never hear. And he goes, what? I go, honking and jets, like flying over like every 5 seconds. And so I've had people stay, and then when they leave, they go, I heard nobody honk. And I think it's an amazing.
I just recently said that to my wife. We were traveling.
People don't honk.
I think we were in Boston, and I said to my wife, I said, I need to take advantage of my horn more at home. Like we don't use them in Montana.
Right.
But it's just, it's like a blinker in big cities.
Second biggest thing that when I came to, our friend took us to Costco, because of course we went to Costco. I was in the very back of their Suburban because I came with the family and the luggage. We went into Costco, and she comes into park, and she sees an elderly couple coming to their car. She just stops. Elderly couple ends up talking to the people next to them. We were sitting waiting for the parking space. I'm not joking. 5 to 10 minutes. And then I was like, no one. And then 2 cars behind us waiting. Nobody was in a rush. I was like, this is a very uncomfortable. Like,
yeah.
Are you serious? And she turned around and goes, welcome to Montana.
Wow.
And from that point on, I probably am the slowest driver. I don't, I brought nothing bad from California. Trust me. Like my wife says, wow, you're worse than, how old are you? And I go, this is it. You're coming to a place to assimilate. Yeah. If you're in a rush and you're going to be, don't come. Like, this is not the place for you.
Yeah.
Oh, and so, that was a really that's cool probably story. My second most told story about Montana.
All right. As far as, obviously you came from the school of hard knocks a lot and you learned on the go, but has there been a specific book that has impacted your life, your business, your personal, your growth more than any other, or maybe an author or something like that?
Sure. Well, obviously the Bible from the get-go, just put that at the very top. Everything goes on those skills, everything that I try to do. And I'm not perfect, by the way. I'm still at the front of the line for, being the biggest loser, needing those nails, unfortunately, on that cross. So just recently I wrote, I'm a big Audible guy. The funny part is I never graduated college per se, but I've got 6 years of college with degrees in 2 years, Bible college, trade school, and then general. So I joke with my wife, who's a bachelor's teacher, the whole thing. And then I'm like, well, I got more school than you do, but I don't have anything to show up for it. But anyway, I just listened to Buy Back Your Time. Really powerful. I think what set this whole thing off was the 4-Hour Work Week. Big, Tim Ferriss. And then The Power of Focus, because I'm the most unfocused ADD person on earth. And so I always desire focus and cleanliness. Like my dream is to have a clean desk so I can wreck it. But while I wreck it, that's when I build, sell, and it gets me excited. Those are some books for sure that I've loved to death. John Maxwell, I read a lot of in my early days. But yeah, I'm always on Audible, just getting new books and stuff like that. But can't point to a certain author. I think I skip around quite a bit.
Yeah.
The Richest Man in Babylon, all those really good books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really first got some personal finance, got some freedom in the 4-Hour Work Week. Yeah.
Power of Focus is a good one. I think I forgot the guy's name on that one, but I have the book versions of most of them too. I don't know why it feels good when you have a book. Are you guys like that?
Yeah.
Like you'll put the books, but it'll be like when I went to Bible college, I had like books, but I don't even touch them now, but I feel
you
good.
feel smart. Yeah.
Right, totally.
Yeah. I like that. Is it hard for you to finish a book?
Audiobook? No. Book? I don't think besides maybe the Bible or maybe 1 or 2 books, I've never read from. No. Yeah. I just get in there, get to the point, and then I'm out.
Very, very similar. Stephen looks at me and laughs. Yeah,
I'm similar too.
I've finished very few books in my life.
I'm definitely not
it's like, give me the meat.
Yeah.
Well, I did a couple of years ago because I wasn't a reader and wanted to be. One of my goals was to read 12 books in the calendar year. Like 1 a month was my goal. And I got into it and began reading. And I think I ended up reading like 21, 22 books.
Wow, that's awesome.
But that year came to an end and I was done reading.
Right,
it didn't change anything. And now I'm back to just like, give me the meat. Like I don't, it's hard for me.
For me, I always preach and teach, I coach also hundreds of electricians around the country. I always tell everybody, Audible's your best friend. When you're driving, listen, I was the Biggie Smalls Tupac days in the 90s, with the sound systems. I actually had a sound system company too. It was called the Sound Factory. I had a stereo shop. And, I filled my brain with garbage and whatever. And then when I went to work for that other electrical company, all I did was drive. I was a salesman for them right away. I got 3 to 6 hours a day of audiobooks. And I think, that, and they say it, 1 year of that makes you a 4-year degree.
Oh, yeah. Change your life.
And I preach and teach, just if you're in your car and you're a business owner, listen to business CDs and books and CDs.
What's a CD, Jeff?
Yeah, I know. Seriously. We put your 8-track in the, yeah. So I'm a firm believer of that. I'm always, when I'm driving, I'm mostly doing that.
I want to talk a little bit about, I think there's a lot Steven and I can learn from you, because you are, as much as you're an electrician, business owner, you're also a content creator. I mean, you are on YouTube, you've got the channels, you've got the subscribers, the followers, kind of like a junior high girl, like these dreams of you want to do all these things,
right?
And you're doing them. No disrespect to junior high girls. I have one. No, I don't.
No,
I don't have one. I have a high school. I have a junior high son. I have a junior high son. Good. So, but yeah, you're creating all this content.
Yes.
How? Why? I mean, you've got enough irons in the fire.
Yeah.
Why
Shingles.
the digital content creating?
Shingles. I'm one of the lifers, 4%ers that have shingles for the rest of your life. The pain. If I stop talking and I start moving, I start itching, like half my body, like on my chest, all the way to the back. It's a joke, but I always say, like, God, Paul said, take this thorn up. He had shingles for sure. There's no doubt, and so no, but that honestly, so when I moved to Montana, I wasn't planning on opening another company. 360 Electric LA was big enough. I mean, we've got a couple of $1 million in contracts going for like 4 more years. It's one of those things where I would love to get rid of it because liability is just crazy, right? Being in another state. But anyway, long story short, I've always dreamt of intellectual property. Like that's always been my goal when I did the internet stuff. I want to make money when I'm sleeping. So I figured, how can I do this? So I went on YouTube, and there's this big creator. It's got, 650,000. And one day I saw him put a bunch of free tools on the table. I knew it was free because I knew he didn't do that work. And I went, oh, I get free tools if I do YouTube? And so I was in my meeting with like 17 of my guys, and I go, we're going to do YouTube and we're going to get free tools. Like 3 years ago. Yeah, right. I thought it was that easy. Anyway, I picked a niche that nobody was doing. And for my company, I'm big on building people up and paying it forward. So I would coach my own team, and they would go on and open their own businesses. And I'd keep in touch, and they'd come back and help me and teach me. And so I said, no one's doing this on YouTube. You can't go to the wholesale house and tell your competition, so how do you do your pricing, man? How did you do that? So I knew there was a need. And again, just in my brain said, what am I going to do when I go to Montana? 2 years, I'm going to be building this house. Started the YouTube channel, the 360 Electrician. Instantly, within 3 months, 6 months, I captured the niche electrical contractor. I knew electrician, there was way more. There's 800,000 plus electricians. Then you got DIY homeowners. So you got a 2 million base, right? Following. Electrical contractors, 75 to 77,000 in America. So, but I knew that you sell a tool, a hand tool, to an electrician or a DIYer, that tool's worth $10. I sell van cargo systems on shelving. That's a $15,000 ticket item, right? So I knew I only need to sell one of those versus 1,000 hand tools. So I knew I was getting into a niche that was going to be profitable. Ford, Ford wants to sell cargo vans. Who's their number one customer? They're going to say contractors. I found that a lot of brands would say, like, let's just talk about a tool company or electrical tool that's $3,000, right? This is an electrical puller or a tester. When I call that company and I say, hey, so who is your number one client? Well, they say, obviously, electricians. The next thing I have to do as that salesman, and I've literally been doing this for a year, and it is changing our market, is really because I've been an electrician for 20 years. Why would I buy a $3,000 tester? To make my boss rich? And then the trigger goes, well, what we meant was electrical contractor. Then I say, oh, back then you used to be able to hide your subscribership. No one's giving you a contract with 400, 500, 800 subscribers. Everybody wants to see thousands. I had like 4,000 subscribers, and I'm reaching these huge companies. I go, oh, okay, now that we're on the same table, go to YouTube and type in your customer, electrical contractor. We're number one. The conversation was instantly, okay, how can we make a deal? So I got my first like $15,000 deal with 4,000 subscribers on YouTube. And I just signed probably my biggest deal, which will be minimum, I'm counting the zeros, mid 5-digit contract this year with one company that I do software with, that sells software. Because nobody else can, everybody can say, look at this cup, look, you drink. But I say, this is why you want this cup, because not only can you drink, but it's so safe that it's not going to fall and break your guy's foot. You won't have a workman's comp claim. So as a business owner, I'm going to make everybody buy. You see what I'm saying? I just put that other level where everybody else is like, this microphone has this feature. And so is everybody else saying it. But I'm like, this microphone, I hope, has a bio whatever film so that we're not going to get sick. And now my guys aren't going to be off the job site. You see that different level? Mm-hmm. And so companies have caught on, and the thing is I'm super loyal to brands. Super loyal where nobody else can. They need to take everybody's money. They need to say this tool, this tool, this tool, where I say this tool, forget about that tool. And so I have that luxury because of that. So anyway, I got into the market, and then right away I started my coaching program. We have over 600 electricians across the country signed up. I've probably been through about 250. I record every single session and send it to them, so I have the content. And now, we're sponsored by some pretty big brands, and we get to go on the stage with people like Lexi, who's got 1.5 million followers. And here's this little channel that gets to go on with her channel. And so it's been an incredible
awesome.
ride. Yeah.
It sounds like you've learned a lot about business over the years.
And then we do courses. I teach the ultimate marketing for electrical contractors and the ultimate paperwork for electrical contractors. And I have 3 clients between Frenchtown and Darby already.
Oh,
so
amazing.
my joke is in another 5 years, every electrician's marketing and paperwork in the Bitterroot will look the same because they'll all be coaching for me.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you can obviously tell your passion for paying it forward, helping out electrical contractors. I know there's obviously some ROI in there. Is that kind of what you're seeing for the next foreseeable future for you? Is I'm just gonna help people. That's gonna be
Yeah. So we opened in Montana less than 6 months ago. The guys always argue with me. I made some incredible connections. Joe Burnich, Big West Marketing, someone you guys should definitely, I told him about the podcast. He's my man. He's right here in Missoula. Met him before I moved out. How crazy is that? Because he had like 10,000 subscribers, and you can see who has the most subscribers. Anyway, put a long story short, we opened in Missoula. We're already packed. We're already putting our 3rd van online in the spring. We're already number 2 on Google search and maps in Missoula. So I probably peed off a bunch of other electricians that have been here for years. Which the story goes, I reached out to one of the biggest and said, I want to work for you for free. I will teach your guys sales. I just need content. And for a lack of better terms, they gave me the finger and said, who are you? And now I'm probably going to be, in the next few years, not their biggest, because I don't want to grow that big, but I'll be a big thorn in their side. In fact, we're both doing a show down in Hamilton in a couple of weeks. And I purposely, this is how crazy I am, I said, I want to be the booth right next to this. And my guys are like, what? That's who I am. Why not? I'm going to be right next to my competition. I want up the booth. They couldn't do it because it was taken. So we hooked up with another great company that we're going to be collabing with. So
it's amazing, Jeff.
I know.
Well, if our listeners want to hear more about what you're doing online, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, where the big boys play, where can they find you?
All of it is at the @ the 360 electrician on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. But I'm not an Instagram and TikToker. I don't look that good, and I'm not that young. But we're growing. But YouTube is our home. Our website's www.the360electrician.com. If any electricians or anybody who wants to be an electrician, we just hired our first female apprentice, which is a game changer for us.
Awesome.
If anyone's looking for a job, I'm not hiring right now, but we're growing. And we're going to stay small so that I told my guys, time is worth more than money. And same with my guys. I don't want to get jobs where I got to send you, out of town for 6 months and then you're away from family. Yeah. We'll make it here. We'll do it. We have incredible clients that love us. We pour into each and every one of them. We already have, I think, 25 5-star reviews because of my guys. That's how awesome they are. And honestly, they are the company, not me. They call me the rails. I'm the rails just to keep them from bouncing off the road. And they're allowed to do anything else as long as they're within those rails.
You sound like an incredible leader. Last thing you want to leave the audience with, maybe something we missed or a message or something on your heart that you're passionate about, anything else? Yeah.
Again, we're here to serve Missoula, the Bitterroot, the whole area. If you need an electrician, I always say it. I want to be your electrician for life, not just for a one-off or anything. Our prices are fair. We try to do our best, answer the phone, but we care. We just had a job where a lady had her baby, and we didn't charge her any different, but we had to spend about 5 to 6 hours extra making sure that baby didn't wake up because we had to tiptoe. So that's who we are. We're not looking to be the biggest. We're not looking to get rich off this. We do make a living. And hey, if you're a business owner, I'm an unlimited contractor, electrical contractor, and just give us a shot. Check us out on Google and find us. And, we bleed. My guys are all bleed Montana just like I do. So that's probably what I would leave off with.
That's great.
I always say that because I feel like I am the best electrician for someone. So why not promote yourself? I have no shame in that, I
appreciate that. Hey, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff.
Appreciate you guys.
What's up, Missoula? This is Nick Balla, producer of the Missoula Podcast. We truly appreciate you hanging out with us as we dive into the stories that make our city special. If you could do us a quick favor and follow the show wherever you are listening, whether that's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, maybe you're watching on YouTube, so hit that little subscribe button. It really helps us out. Head on over to www.themissoulapodcast.com for more information, and we'll see you next week.